Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Tailored Expressions. I am so excited to share these cards with you today. I am using the Create in Quads Snowflake stencils. This makes mass producing cards so quick and easy. So now here are the stencils. These stencils are going to fit paper that is 8 by 10.5. There's 4 layering stencils here. So you have the numbers on the bottom right. It's going to tell you 1 through 4. And this is going to make 4 different cards that are A2 sized. So when you trim these down, they are going to be 4 by 5.25. Now Tailored Expressions also sells sugar cube and toffee cardstocks in 8 by 10.5 packs to fit perfectly with the stencils. Now also for my card, I'm going to be using some sea salt cardstock for my card bases. I am using the super cute Get Cozy stamp set. The inks that I'm using are sea salt, poppy seed, and cherry pop. I'm also going to be using VersaMark ink because I will be doing some heat embossing with gold embossing powder. I have my powder tool. I'll be using gold drip drops. I've got my blender brushes. I have my press it tool for the Misty and my liquid glue. And I'm also going to be using some Pixie Spray to help hold my stencils in place. So let's get going on these cards. So I am going to spray each one of my stencils with the Pixie Spray. I am going to be using the Sugar Cube cardstock. I have that just taped down to my grid paper. And I'm going to start with Cherry Pop ink. So like I said, this is going to make 4 A2 size cards. This is so fantastic for mass producing cards. This is super simple. I'm creating a 1-layer card. I will add a little bit of dimension with the drip drops, but you could absolutely leave that off. So I'm going to ink up all of these snowflakes with Cherry Pop ink. I'm really making sure I get my paper saturated because I really want that red to be really deep. Now, there is some guidelines on the sides of the stencils that fits perfectly to this paper. I'm lining that up, but for the second stencil, I'm also making sure everything lines up with the previously inked snowflakes. So now the next color that I'm using is my sea salt. I want this to have gray. This is a very bold color palette. I'm using red, gray, and black. Feels kind of modern. I'm going to add this to a sea salt background, but if you added this to a toffee background, a craft color cardstock, it would be a little more country feeling, more like a buffalo plaid kind of a feel, a buffalo check plaid kind of feel. So, but I'm going for a little more modern. Now I'm coming in with poppy seed. This is the 3rd stencil, again lining it up. This stencil and the next one just kind of fits in between all of the other snowflakes. So the first one and the second one kind of layer together to create these snowflakes, and then the 3rd and 4th one kind of fill in the space. I'm also using poppy seed on this last one for all of these little tiny dots to add a little bit more of that fun black color. So I'm going to reveal this, and you've got 4 backgrounds that are stunning. So again, these are going to measure on the long side 5.25 by 4 inches. So I'm just using my paper trimmer to trim these down, and you are going to have 4 cards ready to go. Just add them to a card base, add a sentiment, and you have got 4 beautiful different designed cards, which is also fantastic about these stencils. They're not all the same. You have 4 different designs. Now in my mini Misty, I'm going to start adding my sentiments, and that's from the Get Cozy stamp set. This first one is going to say Let It Snow. I'm just lining that up, prepping my cardstock with my powder tool because I will be doing some gold embossing. I'm using VersaMark ink, and I'm going to ink that up, sprinkle on my gold embossing powder, and I'm going to set that aside. When you are doing mass producing, you kind of want to do all the same steps at the same time. You can get away with that when you're using embossing powder. So I'm inking up all of these, adding the embossing powder at one time, putting them aside, and then I will just use my heat tool on all of them at the same time. It's not going to hurt your cardstock. It's not going to dry funny because the embossing powder is already on there, so you can get away with putting it aside. So here I am just melting them with my heat tool, and then we can get going on adding these to the card bases. Like I said before, I'm going to use sea salt for my card base. I like that little bit of gray. Obviously, I use sea salt in the stenciling, and so that brings some of that in and just adds a little more modern feel to this card design. Now I want to come in and add a little bit more of that gold, so I'm using the gold drip drops. I'm just using my liquid glue to adhere those down. I just have scattered a few of those around on each one of these cards. I like bringing in gold. It's kind of my favorite color, but you could also do a silver, like embossing powder, silver, you know, look that way. But I really think the gold is striking on these cards. I'm going to finish up with the last one here. And then these cards are completely finished. They are so quick. You can make a ton of these so fast, and they are gorgeous. Those snowflakes, the design of the snowflakes are so pretty the way they come together, and your color combinations are absolutely endless. You can get away with anything. You could do monochromatic, you could do classic Christmas. I mean, you could just get wild and crazy with these colors. I want to thank you guys for stopping by and watching, and you can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.